I have to say, for the second time in a week, sat down and watched an online concert. Watched Pussifer today. That's after watching the Billie Eilish concert last weekend. So on the entertainment guy, it's highly likely tonight or tomorrow morning. Yvonne and I will be doing a review and contrasting those two because that was fun. But and it's nice to have those distractions where for an hour you're like, all right, and shut the brain off. Now, there's a whole thing going on today about the OHL, and it depends on who you ask. According to the spokesman for the Ontario side of it, they're saying, yeah, there won't be any body checking in the OHL, and this is not negotiable. Now, we've discussed this before. Here's the thing. So you have these guys who are in their draft year. If you have a hockey game that doesn't have checking in it, they're not working on the skills they need in order to get drafted. And it's going to hurt their stock at the draft as well. Now, I understand there are more important things right now. Obviously, yes. But from a hockey perspective, I don't know that banning body checking is going to mean that the game's safer for what they're trying to do for this whole, you want to make it so there's less chance of people getting sick. Okay, well, I don't know that the body checking is the answer. And a good example I'll use is this. Very often when you're body checking somebody, you're not face to face with them anyways. You're face to face with them on a face off. You're face to face with them very often just in general in hockey, but on a body check very often it's shoulder to shoulder. I mean, you might as well ban face offs while you're at it. You might as well just ban hockey because it's not just body checks. Body checks. Go look at videos of body checks and count how many times people are face to face and breathing on each other, and then count face offs. Go look at face offs. I don't know if there's a highlight reel of face offs. I'm guessing probably somewhere on YouTube there is, but it's a fight being taken by people who don't understand the game, and this is what drives me crazy. It's people who don't understand the game that are saying, all right, well, we'll just take out the body checking. That'll make it safer. Well, from an injury perspective, I guess, although there are situations where I'm chasing a guy down the ice and he stops and I can't avoid, I'm trying to avoid hitting him and I might get hurt trying to avoid hitting him. Maybe there's a collision that takes place that's an unnatural collision and I get hurt, he gets hurt, and it's something that, if I had just been able to throw a body check would have been easier. So, yeah, Darren Dreger's saying this is not decided. This is not that the people he's talked to in the OHL are saying this is not 100% decided. Don't listen to it. It's not set in stone. And in all honesty, either you play the game or you don't. So either players go out and play the game or they don't. And if they don't, there's a whole bunch of parents who've put tens of thousands of dollars into their kids' equipment and training and skating and all of this with the idea of building up something that this year, yeah. So it's a lot. And it's not just about, these drafted kids and all this, but for the parents who've put in all those hours at the rink, who've put in all this money to put their kid through hockey, it's not as simple as just saying, well, we just won't play this year. Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. So my kid, I've put all that money in and he's put in all this time. And for the, so it's not just hockey players, and then there's the coaches, there's the trainers, there's everybody who's essentially out of work from that, and coaches who are thinking, hey, if I do really well at the OHL this year, maybe I get a job higher up the line. Well, now they wouldn't have that either. So there's a whole way that this works in the sporting world that I think gets overly simplified when people either say just cancel it, or in this case it's we'll just take out the body checking. Really? Oh, okay, sure. Because there's no other time that players are directly face to face. All right, sure. Anyways, so moving on from that, Victor Olofsson has stated that he would be fine playing on his off wing. So looking at Buffalo's depth chart, and it might be attractive to maybe move Olofsson over. And if they do, he's saying, yeah, I can play on the off wing. I've done it before. I can do it again if I need to. And that's what you want to hear if you're Kevin Adams. You want Buffalo Sabres players who are buying in on this, who are saying, all right, we're going to do what we can to make this work. You've added Eric Stahl up front. You've also got a pretty excellent jersey going. Melody Martin did her unboxing of hers today. I'm a little bit jealous. I haven't been able to get one yet because they're expensive. But, and again, that's because I'm in Canada, so if I want to get one, on the Canadian side of the border, it means I have to go through the Buffalo Sabres store, and then shipping is just yeah, okay. So then I'm paying the American American price, American dollars, which to Canadian dollars down to I think about 70 cents US again. And then I have to pay about $30 shipping on top of that, in most cases with US sites. So Buffalo's got their jersey fixed. They just need to distribute one to me. Thank you very much. And white ones as well. They've only made the blue ones so far. Why aren't they making white ones for retail? They need to make them. Come on, Adidas, make the white ones too. They're just gorgeous. The way that they've got the Buffalo done, it's fantastic. And Olofsson will be one of the guys wearing that fantastic New Jersey. So I like what Buffalo's doing. Everything's pointing in the right direction. But I think because it's been so long since Buffalo went into the playoffs, we are expecting them to miss. And at some point in time, we will be wrong about Buffalo, and it might be this year. Julius Honka, remember him? He was the RFA last year that held out, and it felt like nobody noticed. And that's because he was not a high-profile player. He wasn't coming from a position of great strength, and it shows in that now he has signed a one-year deal with Dallas, which will pay him $700,000 in the NHL and $90,000 in the AHL should he get sent down. Odds of him being in the OHL are basically nil. But Honka, I like Honka. He's a good depth defenseman. Hopefully, with that year off from the Dallas organization, hopefully he comes back in. That motivation shows up, and he earns himself a spot in the top 6. We know Stephen Johns may very well be done as an NHL player. They're still talking to him. Jim Nill's still hopeful that he'll come back and play, but there's no guarantee that he will. So in Honka's case, he could step in, and maybe it helps there. I am absolutely hopeful that that does happen. Tuukka Rask came out and had a nice interview with The Athletic today, for those who have a subscription to The Athletic. And he basically says he has no regrets of leaving the bubble in order to take care of his eldest daughter. And he says basically the same thing that I've been thinking, a lot of people have been thinking. So you get a phone call while you're at work. Hey, so your kid's sick. Needs to go to the doctor. Some people can just go, yeah, all right, take care of it, and they can go back to work. Some people can't. Clearly, Tuukka Rask is a guy who can't. And he was concerned about going into this bubble environment in the first place. Now, if he had gone into the net against Tampa and played absolutely miserably bad, and he did not play very well in the games before he left the bubble. If he'd played miserably bad against Tampa, and we found out after it was because he was distracted by news that his daughter wasn't feeling well, he'd still be getting raked over the coals anyway. He says he doesn't care about what people are saying about him online. He's not concerned with any of that. He doesn't pay any attention to social media. It's not really a big deal to him. And that he's looking forward to this year, however it's going to work. He's not worried about Torrey Krug being gone. He's hoping Chara comes back. He's not sure what's going on with that. But he thinks that the Bruins are in a position where they can't really rebuild. They're an older team, and he knows that they can't really go into a rebuild right now. So he's very realistic, very honest, very open. And I do get the feeling, again, reading through this article, that we're right, that those of us who think this is probably his last year coming up, it certainly looks like that's going to be the case. That should they play this season, find a way to make it happen, Tuukka Rask likely playing his last season. I have seen no reason to think the Bruins are going to give up on him. I have no reason to think the Bruins are going to trade him. I know there is still that very vocal section of hockey fans that think that what he did was egregious and terrible. But if anybody can tell me that adding Rask to the Bruins would have made them better than Tampa, have at it. It wouldn't have. But if that's what people think they can, they could have had Andy Moog in his prime when Moog was a world beater for Boston, and I don't think it would have made a difference. So yeah, and in the last piece of news here, but very interesting news as well, is Joey Anderson. Joey Anderson, the player they get back in return for Janssen, and I think is a very good return. And you know what? He signs a 3-year deal, and it's an average of $750,000 a year. You know, Kyle Dubas, I think, deserves some credit. He deserves some credit this year because he didn't overpay for anybody. Nobody ends up with a contract that's crazy. Nobody ends up with a contract that's way too much money. And whether it's because of the economics currently with the flat cap and all that, whatever it is, he's made some very good additions, and he's had some good signings, and he's kept the costs down. Yes, it's a shame that Matthews, Marner, and Tavares cost as much as they do. And you add in Nylander, it's over $40 million for those 4 players. but he does deserve some credit for what he's done since then. That he's getting a lot of players signed for good contracts. And this 3 years at $750,000 a year, there's no risk to that. Only reward. Only potential reward. And if Anderson doesn't work out and he ends up in the minors, oh well, no harm, no foul, because it only costs him $750,000 a year, so the entire cost of that contract gets written off. I'm going to say, though, I don't think he ends up in the minors, and I think this contract looks like a huge bargain once this coming season is done. So there you go. A little bit of news of the day to close out your Friday. Reminder to all that we're almost up to November. Tomorrow is obviously Halloween, so I'm going to do something fun tomorrow for that. And then once we get into November, I'm going to be doing the list videos. So for people wondering what I'm going to be doing, the best goaltenders, defensemen, forwards, all the stuff that gets people all angry and all that, I'm saving it for November, and I'll make that the big, the big generator of traffic for November. I've decided to do them all together, and I'm working on, and I did a video on for members and patrons as well, regarding trying to get a whole set of the top stickers this year. Anybody who's tried to collect those top stickers, holy crap, those are tough to collect. So I'm doing my best to get them collected. Basically, what I'm hoping to do is have videos where I can have the small boards, have it closer to the screen so you guys can see what's going on, and then just when I do list videos, just have the player stickers that I can put up there so you guys can see visually the players. But it can't be this far back because then you may not be able to see the player's name and all of that far back. But it's one of those things where I'm hoping to magnet some up, and I've also got some card holders I'm going to magnet up. There's some interesting stuff because, again, the low tech approach has worked so far for 168,000 and some subscribers, and so I'm going to continue that. But I'm always looking to add things. Like, new magnets are always something that I'm throwing in. And in this case, there will be a whole ton of new magnets as well. And I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that we get a new season, at least the outlines for a new season soon. And that if it's in January or it's in February, we will have a guideline for when exactly that's going to start. Because, again, it's not the same without hockey. For anybody who's... End of October without hockey just feels weird. And thankfully, if I can call it that, we've had so many lockouts that it's not that unusual anymore. But hopefully this is the last year this happens, and we get back onto a regular schedule next season. So keep in mind, too, that I understand when the list videos come up that there's going to be a lot of argument. The one thing I don't understand is I don't know where civil discourse went, but, man, here's to hoping that we have another good month for the channel and collectively in the month of November, and that people watching this channel have a good month as well as we gear up towards the Christmas season and then 2021 when we finally get a new calendar, and we hope for much better things. So thank you guys so much for being a part of this channel's growth over the last 4 years, for helping it grow to the point that it's at now. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you want to become part of that growth. And hey, at the end of the day, whether we agree or disagree with each other, I've always found civil discourse is better. Some of the best times I've had, just hanging out with people, is some of the discussions we have where maybe we don't even agree. I used to have friends at my old workplace. You're working on an assembly line, and you might be talking about some sports-related issue you don't agree on at all. But as long as you can be civil, and as long as you can kind of see the other person's perspective and go, yeah, no, I can understand that. I can understand that perspective. I have faith in things, maybe turning around a little bit. So part of the reason I keep doing these videos is to try to keep those conversations going. Hope they remain as civil as humanly possible. And thank you guys so much for being a part of that as well. I respect that other people are going to disagree with me. That's part and parcel of how you end up with so many different YouTube channels that all cross-pollinate over the same thing. Because not all YouTube channels are going to agree on things, whether it's sports, movies, TV, music, any of it. We're not all going to agree on the same thing. But at the end of the day, we all share the globe, so I just figure it's easier to just try to get along and just try to understand the other person's perspective is important sometimes. So thank you guys so much for everything, and I will talk to you again soon.